In this video, we're going to talk about the distributive property. Now, the distributive property is an extremely important property. It's all based off of counting. So here, once again, we've talked about the fact that we have a base of 3 and we have a coefficient of 2, meaning that we have 2 of those 3's being added together. Of course, equals 6. Now, we can do that with a more complicated base. So let's say our base was actually 3 plus 4. Now, of course, we could add those together, but let's leave it alone for now. So we can say that we have a base of 3 plus 4 and a coefficient of 2. Well, that means that we have 3 plus 4 plus 3 plus 4, 2 of those bases of 3 plus 4, which of course ends up just being 7 plus 7, which we could have gotten using order of operations, but it'll end up getting a little more complicated later. For example, let's say we had 3 times the quantity x plus 2. In this case, our base is x plus 2, and our coefficient is 3. Well, if that's the case, then we have a base of x plus 2, and we know that we have 3 of them since our coefficient is 3. Now, I can look at this and start to combine together those like terms. So I have a base, or I have an x, and I have 3 of those x's, and I have a 2, and I have 3 of those 2's, giving me a total of 3x plus 3 times 2, or 3x plus 6. Now, in this case, we have a base of x and a base of 1, 6 times 1. Since those are not the same, we of course cannot combine them together. And we are in simplest form. Now, let's go ahead and look at an example where we have a more complicated base. So in this example, we have 2x plus 3y squared. Okay, and in this case, we're going to end up with multiple bases and coefficients as we work through. So currently, our on the inside, working through our order of operations, we have 2 different bases, x and y squared. So we can't add those things in the parentheses together. Well, that's okay, because we can go ahead and consider 2x plus 3y squared to be our base, and our coefficient is then 3. So that tells me that I have a base of 2x plus 3y squared, and I have it 3 times, okay, added together. Again, I go through now, and everything's being added together, and I see that I have a 2x, and I have 3 of those 2x's, so I can just have a base of 2x and a coefficient of 3. And I can have another base of 3y squared, and again, I have more than one of those. I have 3 of those as well. 3 times 2x plus 3 times 3y squared. But you notice I have that coefficient in there twice. Now, we'll get back to that in a second, but for now, let's look at the fact that we have 2 x's. Again, each of these has a coefficient of 1 and a base of x, so 2 x's, and we have 3 of those groups. And then moving on over here, we have a y squared, which again, we talked about the fact that's just a square with sides of y, area of y squared, and we have 3 of those groups as well. Now, as I'm finishing up drawing here, you can definitely tell these aren't the same size. We have x's and y squareds, so we're not going to be able to combine them together. We can only add all those black rectangles together, in which case we count them up. We have 6 x's, and we can add together the red squares and get 9y squared. Now, there is a faster way of doing this. It's a little more algebraic. Okay, and you notice, again, I talked about that 3 coefficient. So see if you can kind of brainstorm a way you could do this a little quicker, a little more efficiently, and we can discuss it more in class.